This is typically a 45-minute to an hour-long presentation that I kind of tried to get into 25 minutes, so I'm probably going to talk fast, and I apologize. But there's going to be, I'm going to use something called Nearpod, and what's cool about it, it's you can go, if you look at the instructions here, if you'd like to, you can go, it's web-based, or you can use your an app as well. And this is something that a lot of I used as a classroom teacher, and a lot of our teachers use now as well. And so it will allow you to access the presentation later if you take notes and save it as a PDF. So then you'll be able to see everything again. So what's cool about it is, for younger students especially, is that you lock the kids, unless you assign it as homework. If it's a live session, the kids are locked into that screen, so they can't move ahead. You could use a Google slide presentation. They can move ahead of you. This, they can't do that, so it's kind of cool. So if you would like to interact as the students do, you may log in on your device, www.nearpod.com, put in this code, LG, kind of looks like lose, but LGOSE there. If you can put your real name, you can put your fake name, your dream name, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. What you'll see is what the students would see. What you see up here is what the teacher will see. There's a lot more features than I'm going to be using, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about a way that you could use technology if you'd like.
Is this like a free program?
Yes, this is free. We actually purchased to upgrade because we use it so often that we were wanting to save more than the max amount of megabytes for presentations and all that. But I started by using it for free, and you can have up to 36 or 37 students on there. You just can't save as many presentations as, so it's pretty cool. So leading the language of the future, digital literacy. I truly believe that digital literacy is the future and is necessary for I hate to say 21st century learning because we're already 16 years in, but that's what everyone seems to say. So what is digital literacy? Digital literacy is the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information requiring both cognitive and technical skills. And this is from the American Library Digital Literacy Task Force. Now, the reason that I put this definition in here is because it's about digital literacy, but it does not mention technology. It doesn't say iPads, devices. That's not what this is about. Teaching digital literacy is not about the technology. It's not about the device. It's about how we use that information from the devices. It's about how we find, evaluate, create, and communicate that information. So it's not about the technology. It's about learning, and we can never forget that. That's very important. So we have some teachers in here. Any teachers? All right. Any administrators? Okay. So in your own classroom, in your schools, what roadblocks have you experienced in striving to develop digital literacy? If you'd like to answer, you can. I can just use the answers from the last session. I know we don't have a lot of time, but this is what you would be able to do with your students, to interact with them. As a teacher, I see everyone's answers. If I want to, I can share it with the whole class. All right. We've got some famous people in this session. Doctor Who even, and oh yeah. Okay, and you can see too, we've got 40% participation right now, so the teacher will see that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on due to time. So these are some common roadblocks that I've seen and that I've talked to people about. They all are about fear. They all have to do with fear of change. We're too busy to improve. Well, in time, the wheel is going to actually be a lot more effective. But we don't see that. We just see that I would have to learn all these new things, and that's difficult. There's fear of distraction. All of these devices, the kids are going to be distracted. How are they going to learn anything? And then, of course, we have fear of cyberbullying and all of these things. We also have fear of if it's even going to work. There we go. I was going to say, we'll see if this even works. We are going to see if this works. It might not. We'll see. See? See?
Household advice from president to the next president: get better Wi-Fi in the White House.
You know, the whole tech thing, we've been trying to get that straight for the next group of folks, because it is an old building, and so there are a lot of dead spots where Wi-Fi doesn't work.
Okay, so it's a real fear. Even the President of the United States has problems with Wi-Fi in his house. It's a true fear. I get it, okay? We're not going to ignore that fear, but what happens if we give in to the fear and we don't move forward? Well, then our classrooms are going to look like this. This is good, you're already laughing, so if the video doesn't work, you already know what it's saying. There we go. Is that the kind of classroom that you want to teach in or walk through? Or I don't. I would not want to be in or walk through that classroom. So though those fears are real, this is the alternative. And I don't like that. I don't think that prepares kids for the future. So how do we lead this? If we truly believe that this is important, how do we lead it? Well, we need to know what motivates people, because the fear is real, and we have to know how to get over that fear. So Simon Sinek talks about the why is more important than the how or the what. We can show them how to use technology. We can tell them what it is, but if they don't have a solid why, if we don't explain the vision and why it's important, they're not going to be motivated. Maybe a couple will, but not an entire system. Anyone heard of Daniel Pink? Okay, he has TED Talks that are amazing. I've watched them like 5 times. They're incredible. But he talks about, they did all this research, and he talks about 3 things that motivate us with intrinsic motivation. First one's autonomy. So your teachers need to feel that they are valued as professionals, and they know you are trusting them to make educational decisions based on the technology. Mastery, if they feel that there's no way that they can ever master this, that they can ever figure it out, they have no support, not going to happen, not intrinsically motivated. And of course, purpose, which is our why. So how did this happen at Sanger Unified? This up here is our how and our what. Simon Sinek would say this is our how and our what. However, we had our vision that all students can and must learn. We also had to have this foundation of instructional focus. If we did not have a foundation of instructional focus, all of these systems, all of these things that we did would fall. This instructional focus is very important. We had a culture where there was a common language, starting with explicit direct instruction, which is now effective instruction. Our PLC culture with our collaboration. Our RTI, which is now known as our MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, with the UDL and our ELD. Without those, none of this would have mattered and none of it would have worked. So always keep learning at the forefront. What we did, though, as a district, our technological infrastructure was always ongoing and still is. That's very important. We did a classroom iPad pilot program rollout in 2013-14. We had some PD support with 2 district instructional specialist positions. We rolled out 1 teacher iPad per classroom in 2014-15, so teachers were beginning to use the iPads themselves before we rolled it out on a much wider scale. And then we have our 1-to-1 iPad rollout in grades 6 to 12 this year, and our 7th graders and up are actually taking them home and back. So that's there are many challenges with that. There are also a myriad of advantages. And I have a son that's a 7th grader, so I get to see it from the parent perspective as well, which is very intriguing. At Jefferson Elementary, I came in 2014-15, and what we did is we reallocated resources and the schedule. And this is something that was it was done as an expectation. It was done because of the vision. It was done because of the why. It was done because of equity, because I'm sure you've seen this or heard about this in many schools where you will have iPad carts, laptop carts, you will have a computer lab. And the same teachers always get the iPad carts. They always check it out, right? Well, that's great. I love that there are teachers excited about technology. That's wonderful. But if my kid is next door and he doesn't get to use the iPads because his teacher doesn't feel comfortable with it, how is that equitable? How is that fair? And so as a leader, that's something that I said, I got to stand for kids. Now I'm going to support teachers in this, but I got to stand for kids, and how are we going to do that? How are we going to make that happen? So we reallocated the resources and the schedule so that it was equitable. We also purchased 65 additional iPads and 15 Spheros. Anyone know what Spheros are? Oh, Spheros are my favorite. Anyone seen Star Wars, BB-8? BB-8 is a Sphero.
I have a BB-8.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Tried to meet him at Disneyland and he was on a mission or something. Anyway, it cost a lot of money to buy that additional equipment. We used LCAP and site funds. It cost a lot. It hurt. The teachers knew it, but we felt that it was very important.
What is it?
Oh, the Spheros are robotic spheres that you can control with your iPad. You can control them using coding, so the kids are learning to code. I have some videos of them later, so if you actually go onto the Nearpod and you save it as a PDF, you can look at the videos later, because I probably won't have time to go into them. Or you could look online too. Google it. And then we also made an expectation of daily digital literacy, K to 5. So, how do we do that? How do we say, as a leader, you go in and say, this is what we're going to do. We're changing things. What do the teachers have to do? They know things are going to be different. They know it. But time is ticking. And what do they have to do? They don't know what's going to be down the rabbit hole. They don't know what technology's integration will necessarily look like. And a lot of us, we look, well, I know I should do tech. I know I should integrate some technology. I know I should. Just have to fall. You just have to sometimes fall in and go for it. And it's scary. Sometimes it's scary. Alice didn't know what Wonderland was going to look like. We don't know what technology integration might look like, but we still have to move forward. Walt Disney said, around here, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. As a leader, you have to, and as a teacher leader as well, because it's very important to have teacher leaders on our campus. As a leader, you look for those that are curious, and you develop that, and you praise that, and you say, you're taking a risk? That's great. Oh, you tried an iPad lesson and it failed? Great job. I remember going into a classroom with someone from Apple for Education. They were coming and visiting us. And we go into a classroom, and the poor teacher, the Wi-Fi's not working. And I can't even imagine. She was so calm and so, well, you know what? This wasn't working, so we moved to something else. But why did she feel comfortable with that? Because she knew that the leadership was saying, that's okay. We know there's Wi-Fi issues sometimes. We know sometimes it doesn't work. That's okay. It's okay. We praise the fact that you're moving forward. So those educator concerns that are real, because the fears are real. Technical difficulties. When you are leading a staff meeting and you have technical difficulties in your staff meeting, or even when your district tries to roll out something new. They try Google Hangouts for the first time, right, Mr. Ogier? And we have some technical difficulties there. We had this occur, and 2 teachers came up to me and said, the fact that the district was willing to try something for the first time in front of teachers makes me realize that I can do the same in my classroom, and they will appreciate, they'll be okay with that. That's what it's about. It's about that culture. That's huge. We know technical difficulties will happen. Limited access to student devices. So we had some teachers that said, well, I just don't have enough. My vision is having the kids have one-to-one devices, and we don't have that, so I just can't do anything. Okay, all right. So take away that excuse. All right, no problem. We are going to reallocate. We're going to work on the schedule. You're going to have one-to-one for an hour every day, every Tuesday. Perfect, done. And it worked. So addressing those specific educator needs can sometimes help with the support. Lack of experience in tech integration. Had a solid, wonderful, amazing teacher, been teaching for years, and I said, when I come in the classroom, I need those iPads on the desk. I want them being used. You know, that's an expectation. That's what we're doing. She says, I know, but I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Fair enough. So I actually created the first 5 lessons of her unit. I was in there as much as possible in the computer lab with her. She said she had a headache the first 2 days. She's the biggest advocate of technology on our entire campus now. Makes her own lessons, does all this, but it's because she had that support. Now, you might not be able to provide that support yourself. So then, and again, I couldn't be everywhere, so I couldn't do that for every teacher, but finding out who those leaders are and developing them as tech leaders is what's going to make the difference and what's going to be effective. And then changes in resource allocation schedules. That, of course, you know, well, I always used to have the iPads, and now I don't. Okay, I know. But well, who are we here for? We're here for the kids. Okay. And just bringing it back to that why. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? Is something, that's how we address that educator concern. Okay, so I'm going to try to fly through some of this stuff. The focus always still has to be on the learning and not on the tech. Something that's helped with that, high expectations. These are kindergartners. I told the teachers, okay, we're going to do hour of code, and I want to do it school-wide, every grade level. So I tell the kindergarten, and the kindergarten teachers are looking at me like, you want to give my kindergartners iPads, and you want to have them code. I don't even know what coding is. And I said, look, it's probably going to fail. I get it, that's fine, but I want to show that we had kindergartners coding. Maybe only 1 or 2 will be able to do it. Let's just try it. And so we had these high expectations. I guess that doesn't sound very high because I'm thinking they're going to fail. But let them try it anyway, and it was amazing. They're thinking logically, and they're adding in their head where to have the little BB-8 program to pick up his scrap metal, and they can't even read the the code, and yet they're doing their best to decode it. Like, okay, I know this one must say right or left. So, okay, obviously it says right. They can't read the word right, but they're using those critical thinking skills. Having those high expectations and knowing that it's okay if we fail because we can keep moving forward. Database instruction, you can do so much more with tech, but don't forget about the teaching and the learning. So we take data from the individual apps that we do in the individual programs, and then the teachers know how to target their instruction. So we don't ever put a kid on a device and forget about them. The teacher's still very important, but it empowers us to be better teachers. This is the SAMR model. Have any of you seen the SAMR model? Okay. SAMR model, you will see it, I guarantee, as you move along. And just be careful because it's about learning, not about how high you get on SAMR. SAMR redefinition is the highest, so to speak. And what that means is you're doing tasks that were inconceivable, that there's no way that you could have done without the technology. These are the spheros. And I want you to look at the engagement, and I want you to think about if this could ever be done without the technology. with this corny music on here. We really don't need that on. Do the kids look engaged? Do they look excited? They were thrilled. They're laughing. They're having a great old time. Is this something you could do without technology? Could you program the Spheros to be doing things without the technology? No. So you walk in as a leader and you say, wow, this is really cool. This is a great lesson, right? No. Now, I told the teacher to do this, so I knew. I said, I want to show off our new technology. Can I come in video? And he's like, I don't even have any lesson prepared. I don't have a learning object. I don't care. I just want to show it off. So that was totally my fault. But that was just fun. By his admission, by my admission, those kids are having fun. They're really not, there's not a learning objective. The learning target must always be at the center. It's not about the novelty of the tech. This video, this is about learning. It's not nearly as cool looking, though I still think it's pretty cool. What they did, you'll see the Sphero changing color, and it's time-lapse kind of weird, so it's kind of hard to tell. But what they did was they had 10 seconds. The challenge was they had to have the Sphero change color at least a certain amount of times. And then what they did was they converted the fraction to percent to decimal. So it's much more rigorous as far as the learning, right? Not nearly as cool looking, but don't forget about the learning. Something else that's helped is facilitating collaboration. So if you are doing something in your classroom, share it. As a leader, facilitating that collaboration myself and taking pictures and putting things online, the Jefferson Journal, that's something that's been really successful. Trying to integrate tech, it's now on a blog, and I have a QR code here, trying to use as much technology as possible. And then involving the community. We had a parent class, and the parents were actually using the iPads. And so that really helps get buy-in from the community, and a lot of them had not used that technology before, so that was really exciting. Okay, so I think we're going to skip this one, because I want to make sure there's time for questions. One thing that a lot of people, I've been asked a couple times is, what's the best app I can use? Okay, well, I understand why you're asking that question, but it's not about the app. It's about the learning. So this presentation, I didn't talk about a whole bunch of apps and throw you a whole bunch of really cool tech tools, because that's not what it's about. It's about the learning. Now, I will say if you go to the blog, you'll see a lot of examples of how some of the teachers have been using the technology, but that's not what it's about. I love Nearpod. That's why I'm using it. I love Google App for Education Suite. But you don't want to be so excited about what app to use and which specific thing to do that you forget about the learning. So think about your learning objective, and then look, Google it. Find, well, what have people used for this learning? Always lead with the learning, never lead with the tech. Are there any questions? Wow, there were questions on the other one. Also, if you're a tweeter, if you like Twitter, I usually post a whole bunch of technology type stuff, articles, not that I write, but other articles and such. So if you are not on Twitter and you are interested in educational technology, I have learned so much from Twitter in the last 6 months. It's truly unbelievable. So get on there, follow some certain people, and you'll learn a lot. Yes?
I have a question.
Yes.
I work at the Hanford Elementary School District.
Okay.
And so we right now have a couple iPad carts that sort
Yes,
of
yes.
across our district.
Okay.
And so if you were to come to one of our sites
Mm-hmm.
and you wanted to roll out like the very first digital literacy lesson, what would that look like? What would be one of the first lessons that you'd introduce to a teacher that maybe has limited iPad experience with their students?
So I would do something simple like maybe Kahoot or something that the kids can get on real easily and they can just, something simple like that because they don't have it every day. So I would do something probably, something like that. I think there was another question.
Oh.
Yes.
I teach high school level, and
Yes.
we are integrating, and I try and integrate a lot more technology, but I'm finding a lot more issues with plagiarism and with cheating, and how do you guys deal with that? Because especially at the high school level,
Right.
I mean, I had 14 kids all just share their document and print it, and I was like, you could have at least changed the font.
They're being smart, they're collaborating, but yeah. But that's the point. That's why we have to educate them, right?
Right.
I think there's isn't there an app that you can put something in? Yeah, you can type it in and then it sees, then it'll tell you if it was plagiarized. Like it'll tell you the first top hits. I don't know this. I would say Google it. I know that sounds super hackneyed, but yeah, that's what I would do.
Like with projects, so like
Yeah.
copy and paste, you know, just, so I'm worried that I'm not getting there.
So perhaps maybe
I'm
more.
what they found on the
Sure.
internet's learning.
Maybe more on demand. On demand. I mean, I know with different reason, but with our students that were having trouble with stamina of writing a lot at once, instead of having them go home and write about it, on demand, 15 minutes, go. Oh, you only wrote 2 sentences? Maybe it'll be 3 next time. So that's what I would try. I mean, I don't know the exact answer, but that would be my idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.